Have you ever felt an unshakable sense of unease around someone? An invisible weight in the air, as if their presence quietly drained the energy from the room? You can't quite put your finger on it, but deep down, you know that deception rarely announces itself with a snarl or a villain's mask. Instead, it hides behind a smile, speaks with charm, and often appears helpful at first. At some point, you may cross paths with someone who seems perfect, someone who embodies everything you've been searching for. They say the right things at the right moments, make grand gestures, and appear as though fate sent them to complete your life. But pause for a moment. Could too perfect be a warning sign? Not everyone who enters your life with warmth and kindness has good intentions. Some people don't harm others out of necessity. They do it because it's in their nature. They manipulate, deceive, and control, not through force, but by slowly eroding your confidence, your peace, and even your perception of reality. They may present themselves as soulmates, ideal partners, or kindred spirits, skillfully weaving sweet words that instill an unwavering sense of trust. And by the time you recognize the truth, you may have already lost too much: your trust, your time, or even yourself. Stoic philosophy teaches us to guard our minds and spirits, to focus on what we can control. One of the most crucial skills in life is learning to recognize those who mean us harm before they get too close, because true manipulation is rarely obvious until it's too late. The good news: deception always leaves traces. There are telltale signs, subtle red flags that, if noticed in time, can reveal a person's true nature. Recognizing these warning signs won't just protect your peace, it will safeguard your very sense of self. So how can you tell the difference between a genuinely good person and someone concealing toxic intentions? How do you distinguish those who bring warmth to your life from those whose presence could consume you in quiet destruction? If you look closely, there are 6 undeniable signs that expose the truth. Learn to spot them, and you won't just avoid pain, you'll reclaim your power. Now let's begin. Red flag. Number 1, they love conflict. Picture this. You're enjoying a peaceful gathering, the room filled with warmth and laughter, until someone, with a carefully chosen remark, sparks tension. The mood shifts, the air thickens, and suddenly, harmony gives way to unease. You glance over, and there it is, that fleeting smirk of satisfaction. When someone is properly grounded in life, they shouldn't have to look outside themselves for approval. Epictetus people who thrive on conflict seek power through manipulation and discord, but a Stoic remains unmoved. Instead of being drawn into their chaos, hold firm to your inner peace. A telltale sign of someone with harmful intent is their relentless devotion to conflict. While most seek peace, these individuals are drawn to discord like moths to a flame. They don't just stumble into drama, they orchestrate it, subtly planting seeds of doubt, stirring tension, and feeding off the turmoil they create. For them, chaos isn't an accident, it's a carefully crafted performance. They manipulate situations, whisper half-truths, and fuel resentment, always positioning themselves as innocent bystanders. But watch closely. When conflict erupts, they linger in the shadows, silently reveling in the chaos they've unleashed. The Stoics teach that while external turmoil is beyond our control, our response remains ours to govern. Yet these conflict seekers aim to dismantle that stability, pulling people into a cycle of tension and distrust. And when confronted, they deflect, playing the victim, feigning concern, or dismissing the damage they've done. The most unsettling truth? They thrive on the emotional wreckage left in their wake. To them, discord is power, and every fractured relationship is a trophy. But you don't have to engage. Protect your peace. Recognize the signs. If someone in your life constantly stirs drama, steers conversations toward conflict, or seems to enjoy watching others suffer, step back. The quality of your life is too precious to waste in the presence of those who thrive on chaos. As the Stoics remind us, true strength lies in guarding our inner tranquility. And sometimes that means walking away. Red flag number 2, they make you feel like you're always at fault. A mind filled with doubt is a mind that can be controlled, And those with malicious intent know this well. That's why they employ one of the most insidious forms of manipulation: gaslighting. They don't need force or threats to control you. Instead, they steadily chip away at your confidence, making you question your own reality until you depend on them to define what's true. At first, it's subtle. You express frustration, and they say you're overreacting. You recall an event differently, and they insist that never happened. You bring up something hurtful they said, and they scoff. You're too sensitive. Slowly, doubt creeps in. Did you really misunderstand? Are you being too emotional? Perhaps the problem isn't them, it's you. That's exactly what they want you to believe. A person who truly cares about you listens, even in disagreement. But a manipulator isn't seeking understanding. They seek control. Their goal is to make you feel unstable, uncertain, and ultimately dependent on them for validation. The more you doubt yourself, the more power they hold. Imagine this. You've noticed a shift in someone close to you. They've grown distant, dismissive, no longer listening the way they used to. Confused and hurt, you decide to talk to them. I feel like you don't care as much anymore. Did I do something wrong? They sigh, rolling their eyes. Why do you always have to start something? You're imagining things. I've just been busy. Can I not have my own life? You pause. You were sure they'd been ignoring you, but now, maybe you are overreacting? Next time, you hesitate to speak up, afraid of being called too sensitive again. And just like that, self-doubt replaces certainty. You stop trusting your own feelings, slowly accepting their version of reality over your own. Picture this. You're in an argument, certain of what was said. You remember the conversation clearly, yet they insist you're mistaken. They twist details, rewrite events, and make you feel foolish for even bringing it up. Suddenly, you're no longer defending your point. You're defending your own sanity. The Stoics teach us to trust reason, to see things as they are, and to remain grounded in truth. But gaslighting is designed to pull you away from truth, to make you distrust your own judgment. And once you start seeking external validation for what you should already know, you surrender control of your mind to someone else. If someone consistently makes you feel like you're the problem, if they dismiss your emotions and distort your reality, see it as the red flag it is. You owe no loyalty to someone who poisons your sense of self. Stand firm. Trust your perception. You are not crazy. You are not overreacting. And you do not need their permission to believe in your own reality. The next time conflict arises, pause before accepting blame. Instead of immediately apologizing or justifying yourself, say, I hear your perspective, but I don't believe I'm at fault here. Let's talk about this calmly. Watch their response. A healthy person will engage in a fair discussion. A manipulator, however, will double down, guilt-tripping, dismissing, or turning the blame back on you. This simple step helps you break the cycle of self-doubt and reclaim your confidence. Red flag number 3. They constantly lie or manipulate the truth. A liar's web isn't woven by necessity, but by choice. Each thread designed to confuse, control, and distort reality. The longer you stay entangled, the harder it becomes to see the truth. Trust is built on truth, and without it, relationships collapse. Yet a manipulative person has little regard for honesty, not because they have to lie, but because they want to. Deception isn't just a tactic for them, it's a way of life. They lie to manipulate, to control, and to keep you in a constant state of uncertainty, making you question what's real. Imagine standing in a hall of mirrors where every reflection is distorted. No matter where you turn, reality shifts. This is the world of a manipulative liar, where truth is bent and clarity is just an illusion. At first, their dishonesty may seem minor, small exaggerations, slight distortions, but over time, the pattern becomes impossible to ignore. One moment, they assert something with absolute confidence. The next, they deny ever saying it. If you challenge them, they turn the tables, acting offended, accusing you of misremembering, overreacting, or even fabricating things yourself. And so doubt creeps in. Maybe I misunderstood. Maybe I'm overthinking. That's the trap. A master manipulator doesn't just tell lies, they rewrite reality. They gaslight, twisting events until you begin second-guessing your own memories, your own instincts. One moment, you're sure of the truth. The next, you're lost in confusion. This is intentional. A disoriented mind is easier to control. Think about the times they could have told the truth but didn't. Moments where honesty would have cost them nothing, yet they still chose deception. Why? Because for them, lying isn't just about avoiding consequences, it's about power. They fabricate stories, distort facts, and test boundaries. Not out of necessity, but simply because they can. And the most chilling part? They feel no guilt. A person who constantly manipulates the truth isn't just dishonest, they are dangerous. Every interaction becomes a psychological battlefield, leaving you exhausted and unsure of reality. And that is exactly what they want. But you don't have to play their game. If someone in your life follows this pattern, don't dismiss it as a simple flaw. It's a glaring red flag. The longer you tolerate their deceit, the more control they gain over your thoughts, emotions, and perception of reality. Ask yourself, do their words and actions never seem to align? Are you always left questioning what's real? If so, beware. Manipulation thrives in confusion, and they want you lost in it. If yes, trust your instincts. Step back, set boundaries, and protect your mind. Because the longer you stay, the deeper their web of deceit entangles you. Red flag number 4, they play the victim in every situation. Life is full of struggles, and no one is exempt from hardship. A strong person meets challenges with resilience, taking responsibility for their actions. But a manipulative person, they wrap themselves in victimhood, using it as both a shield from accountability and a weapon against those around them. For them, nothing is ever their fault. They blame their past, their circumstances, and everyone else except themselves. When things go wrong, they don't self-reflect or grow. They shift blame, and they expect you to accept their story, to feel sorry for them, and to overlook their actions because, after all, they've had it so hard. At first, it may seem like simple self-pity, but over time, a pattern emerges. No matter how much you support them, their problems never improve. Their struggles always seem exaggerated. Their pain is always greater than anyone else's. They drain your emotional energy, using your empathy as a leash to keep you trapped in their endless cycle of misery. And the moment you challenge them, when you set a boundary or hold them accountable, they flip the script. How could you do this to me? You're the one being cruel. Suddenly, you're the bad guy. Your reasonable concerns become an attack, and their refusal to change becomes your fault. They twist reality so that you question yourself. Was I too harsh, too insensitive, too selfish for prioritizing my own well-being? This isn't just manipulation, it's control. The Stoics remind us that while we cannot control external events, we always control our response. Someone who refuses to take responsibility for their actions isn't just difficult, they're dangerous. Because when a person never owns their choices, the weight of their burdens will always fall on you. Ask yourself, do they always have an excuse for their behavior, no matter the situation? Do they shift blame onto others instead of taking responsibility? Do you feel emotionally drained from constantly supporting them, yet nothing ever changes? When you set a boundary, do they make you feel guilty or selfish? Are their problems always worse than everyone else's, including your own? Do they use their past hardships as a way to justify mistreating others? Do they expect endless sympathy but reject real solutions? If so, it's time to step back. You cannot save someone who refuses to take responsibility for their own life. No amount of patience, support, or understanding will change a person who thrives on excuses and manipulation. Protect your peace, set firm boundaries, and if necessary, walk away, without guilt, without second guessing. Your well-being is not a sacrifice you owe to someone who refuses to grow. Red flag number 5, they constantly criticize you but never acknowledge your successes. There's a kind of poison that doesn't kill instantly, but wears you down slowly. Constant, subtle criticism. It doesn't come as outright insults or direct attacks. Instead, it drips into your mind through carefully placed remarks, always highlighting what you lack while ignoring what you achieve. An insidious person will never truly celebrate your success. No matter how much you accomplish or how hard you work, it will never be enough. If you succeed, they'll downplay it. If you improve, they'll raise the bar. And if you feel proud of yourself, they'll be quick to remind you of what you could have done better. Picture this. You finally achieve something you've worked hard for. Maybe a promotion, a personal milestone, or a goal you've been chasing for months. You can't wait to share the news with someone close to you, expecting a moment of joy, a word of encouragement, maybe even a simple, well done. Instead, their reaction is flat, dismissive. That's nice, but it's not a big deal. Or worse, they find a flaw, something you could have done better, something that makes your success seem smaller. At first, you think they're just being honest, but then it happens again and again. Every achievement is met with indifference, a backhanded compliment, or an unnecessary comparison. Over time, their words start living in your head. You hesitate before celebrating your own progress. You second-guess whether your success even matters. You begin to believe that no matter how hard you try, it will never be enough. This is not tough love. This is not constructive criticism. This is deliberate control, keeping you in a cycle of doubt so that you never feel good enough to stand on your own. But here's the truth. You don't need their approval to recognize your own growth. Your progress is real, even if they refuse to acknowledge it. People who truly care about you will celebrate your wins, not downplay them. So ask yourself, are you surrounding yourself with people who lift you up or those who keep you small? If someone consistently makes you feel like your achievements don't matter, maybe it's time to stop seeking their validation. Your success is worth celebrating, even if they refuse to clap. The Stoics teach that external validation is fleeting, yet even the strongest mind can be worn down by constant negativity. And manipulative people understand this. Their goal isn't to challenge you to improve, it's to make you doubt yourself. They plant seeds of insecurity so that, over time, you start trusting their voice more than your own. The worst part? While they diminish your achievements, they amplify their own. They boast about their successes, their talents, their superiority, always positioning themselves above you. It's not just about making you feel small. It's about making themselves feel powerful. But remember this, their words do not define you. The Stoics remind us to measure ourselves by our own progress and principles, not by the judgment of those who seek to break us down. If someone in your life constantly criticizes but never uplifts, ask yourself, what do they gain from this? And more importantly, what are you losing by keeping them around? No one has the right to make you feel unworthy. Recognize the pattern, protect your mind, and never let someone else's insecurity dictate your worth. Step away from those who seek to diminish you. Red flag number 6, they display no empathy or compassion. If there is one trait that separates the virtuous from the wicked, it is empathy. The ability to share in another's joy, to feel another's pain, and to recognize the humanity in those around us. This is what binds people together. But an evil person, they feel nothing. Not for you, not for anyone. Their indifference is chilling. You can be suffering, breaking under the weight of grief, and they will stand there unmoved. If they acknowledge your pain at all, it will be with cold detachment. Well, life's unfair. Or worse, they may twist the moment to make it about themselves, steering the conversation away as if your emotions are an inconvenience. Imagine experiencing this. You're going through a rough time. Maybe you're overwhelmed with stress, dealing with a personal loss, or just feeling emotionally drained. You open up to someone you trust, hoping for understanding, maybe even just a moment of kindness. But their response? Cold, dismissive. You're overreacting. Everyone has problems. You just need to toughen up. Instead of support, you're met with indifference or worse, irritation, like your emotions are an inconvenience to them. At first you tell yourself they just don't know what to say. Maybe they're having a bad day. But then you start to notice a pattern. When you're struggling, they offer nothing. No comfort, no encouragement, not even the basic decency of listening. But when they are upset, they expect you to drop everything to soothe them, to care, to be there. Slowly, you start keeping your pain to yourself. You stop reaching out because, deep down, you know the response will always be the same: disinterest, dismissal, or even blame. And worst of all, you begin to wonder if maybe your feelings don't matter at all. But here's the truth: they do. A person who cares about you doesn't need to have all the answers. They just need to care. Empathy is not a skill, it's a choice. And if someone consistently refuses to acknowledge your emotions, it's not because they can't understand. It's because they don't want to. Ask yourself, do they ever acknowledge your struggles, or do they minimize them? Do they show concern when you're hurting, or do they ignore it? Do they demand empathy from you, but offer none in return? A relationship without empathy is not a relationship. It's a transaction. You are not weak for needing support. You are not too sensitive for wanting kindness. And you do not have to tolerate someone who refuses to see your pain. You deserve to be heard. The Stoics teach us to temper our emotions, to remain resilient in the face of adversity. But they never advocate for coldness. True strength does not mean a lack of empathy. It means choosing to act with wisdom and compassion. Evil people, however, mistake apathy for power. They see others not as fellow human beings, but as tools, things to be used, discarded, or ignored when no longer useful. Their emotional emptiness creates a suffocating presence. When you are around them, you don't feel seen, you feel invisible. You don't feel understood, you feel alone. And that is exactly how they want you to feel, because isolation makes you easier to control. But here's the truth: you are not small and you are not invisible. If someone repeatedly dismisses your emotions, refuses to acknowledge your struggles, or treats your existence as insignificant, they are showing you who they are. Believe them. A person without empathy is not simply emotionally distant or bad at expressing feelings. They are dangerous, because if they cannot care about your pain, they will have no hesitation in causing it. Recognize the warning, protect your spirit, and never waste your time trying to find warmth in someone who has none to give. The absence of empathy is not just a flaw, it is a warning sign. Walk away before their emptiness drains you too. Final thoughts. I know this may feel like a lot to take in. Recognizing these red flags isn't always easy, especially when emotions are involved, when you want to believe the best in someone. But understanding these signs can save you from years of pain, manipulation, and self-doubt. Evil people don't always come with a warning. They slip into your life unnoticed, chipping away at your confidence, your peace, and your sense of self. But here's the truth: you don't owe your energy to those who drain you. The moment you recognize these patterns, you have a choice: to step back, to protect yourself, to reclaim your power. Even if it's difficult, even if it means walking away from someone you once trusted.